again, grade 10s. We're now doing work for the 5th of August. And we're going to start with loops. So this is a diagram to describe what loops look like in more normal terms. We have 3 different types of loops, okay? A while loop, repeat loop, and a for loop. What a loop is, it's repeating code. Now the for loop over here, you'll see, I'm going to give you the for loop diagram over here. This is sort of like an algorithm almost. So for k equals 1, 2, as long as it takes, that could be 100 or 20 or 10, whatever this number is. What we're going to do that's going to repeat it 10, like let's say it's for k equals 1 to 10, then a teacher teaches, children learn, teacher teaches, children learn, teacher teaches. We do that 10 times. These 2 instructions will happen 10 times. That's the structure of our for loop. Now for a while loop, we will have a different story. First of all, we have to set, make things quiet. Set children equal to not noisy. I know it seems like it's the same thing, doesn't it? But in a loop, we have to have, in a while loop, we have to say while that quiet is true, like a Boolean variable, if it's true. Teacher teaches, children learn. And if the children is noisy, then be quiet is false. Therefore, the loop will stop. So there won't be any more teaching and learning. So that is how the structure of the while loop will look. But we have to set these things first. Okay, we have to set some things. We have to make the conditions available so that the while loop can happen. So only while be quiet is true. Now if be quiet is false here, if it's false, then this loop won't happen. In other words, there won't be any teaching or learning. And even if children are not noisy but be quiet is false, maybe there's a drilling outside or a noise from the musical instruments, we can't teach and learn. So be quiet will not be true, so therefore the loop won't even start. But then we get to a repeat loop that says, okay, be quiet is true, or what if be quiet is false? Okay, and delete that, even if the children are not noisy, just say be quiet is false, okay? This repeat loop goes straight off, regardless of whether everything is quiet or not. So if teacher teaches, children learn, well, this repeat loop is not going to work very well. The repeat loop does things regardless of what this be quiet is, because repeat will happen until be quiet is false. But in order for this repeat loop to enter, you have to have be quiet equals true. Oh, no. The repeat loop will run regardless of whether be quiet is true or false. Doesn't matter what the quietness is of the classroom. Teacher teaches. So this looks false, doesn't it? So therefore a repeat loop cannot be used in the instance of teaching and learning in this respect, because regardless of what be quiet is, this instruction has to happen first at least once, and then until it will only stop when be quiet is false. But we know be quiet is false, but regardless, it will still carry on. In other words, a repeat loop means that you're going to have instructions happening at least once until, and then over here we check to see if the class is quiet or not. So therefore, for this particular scenario of teaching and learning, the repeat loop will not be a good option at all. The while loop will be better. So that's the main difference between repeat and while loop. And the main difference between repeat and while and for loop, the for loop means that's going to happen as long as it takes. So if it's 5 times, then these instructions will happen 5 times. There's no condition at all, it's just going to run 5 times. So the for loop has no conditions. It will run that required time 1 to 5 runs of the loop. But if you have a while or a repeat loop, then you have a condition, whereas the condition in the repeat loop only happens at the end after one list of instructions, and a while loop will continue, will test the condition first and then it will loop. Then it will start the instructions. So while loops are more typically used, they're more common used than repeat loops, but repeat loops do have their place in certain instances only if you know that you can, like for instance this case, if we set b quiet equal to true, then basically teaching and learning can happen at least once, but you have to make sure that it's quiet first, because repeat will do these instructions regardless of what that is. We don't even don't even consider that. So that's just an overview, okay, just to help you when later on when we get to while loops we'll go back to that again. But now we're going to do for loops, and for demonstrating how for loop works we used stars, building stars. Now what we're going to do in this program is we want to build stars like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars, and then see what it looks like when we put 5 stars in a line using a for loop. So okay, the code looks like, what does the code look like? I actually want to get to the code. There we go. So for building this structure there, you start with an empty string, then you go use a for loop for k, which is an integer from 1 to 5, so it's like a counting thing. K is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it will do that, and each time we do that we're going to add a star to this string over there. We start with an empty string and then we say stars equals stars plus a star, so it's going to be 1 star, then it'll be 2, then it'll be 3, then it'll be 4, but each time we add a star we're going to display that string in the rich edit. So that is how that works, okay? So then, so that is how we're going to build one line at a time. So we add a star to this string and then display it. Then we add another star to the existing string which had 1, we're adding a second star and display it. When we had a third star and we displayed it, fourth star, 5 star and we play it, and that display, that's why that's going from 1 to 5. So that's a very nice code to show you how to use a loop. What if you want to have 5 stars in a row like that? Then we just do it this way. We set an empty string, set stars equal to an empty string, and then we say for k equals 1 to 5 do, and then we join the stars one by one after each other. Then we'll have 5 stars at the end of this, 5 stars in a line, and then you'll have this set of stars there. Now if we want to go from 5 stars down to 1, so this is what we're going to do now. So what if we want to go from 5 down to 1? Well, we have to start off with a for loop for k equals 5 down to 1 is not going to make any difference. We can start off with 5 stars. We know we're going to do things 5 times in a row. Okay, let's make it 5 down to 1. That means we're going to start with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The loop's going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now for 5 times, well, we have to use another loop inside here, but we will do this stars equals an empty string, and then we're going to use another loop for L equals k 1 to k, whatever k is going to be 5. Now we're going to build our string and then we're going to display it. We're going to say stars, S stars, S stars colon equals S stars plus a star, And each time we do that, we will display it in the rich edit. So we say already out.lines.add. I'm going to copy that line. So what's going to happen here? Actually, no, we're going to put this line over here. Right here. Okay, I've got begin and end there, but that's okay. It can still be there, even though we're only doing one thing. But if we're only doing one thing, we don't need begin and end, but we'll put it there so that we know, okay, that's part of that for the inside for loop. So we have an outside for loop and an inside for loop. So for k equals 5 down to 1, first of all, are we going to do this? Okay, well, yes, we are. We get an empty string. Then this L is going to go from 1 to k. First it'll be 5, and then it'll be 4, then it'll be 3, then it'll be 2, then it'll be 1. So 1 to 5, we're going to build a string of 5 stars. We're going to display it. Then the process goes up there and says, okay, k is now 4. Start with another empty string. Then for L equals 1 to 4, we're going to build 4 stars, and then we display it. Then the process goes up there. K is now going to be 3. Then the stars empty string. For L equals 1 to 3, we're going to say S stars, X stars, so it's going to be 3 strings. Display the 3 strings. The process is going to go up again. Now K is 2. Get our empty string, and then for L equals 1 to 2, we will put 2 stars, and then display the 2. We'll have extra stars, so we'll have stars equals stars, so there'll be 2 stars. 1 to 2, this is going to put 2 stars next to each other. Then we display the stars. Then K is 1. Okay, we've got to do the 1. So K will go to 1. Stars empty string. For L equals 1 to 1, there'll just be 1 star put in there, and then we display it. And that's going to show the stars in reverse. Okay, we have for L. Okay, we've got to declare L as a for loop counter. So we've got K there, and now we're going to have L. So let's run the program. And now you'll see that you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But this is that line that we did. I have to put a rich edit.lines.add space in between these two, so we know after we've displayed that other one, we'll have an empty space, so we can see it better now. So there it is. Okay, so that looks pretty, doesn't it? Now what if we want to make a Christmas tree? In the textbook it says here we must make a Christmas tree stars, and they're giving us the algorithm over here. So we're going to look at this algorithm and do it nicely and see what we can do. So we're going to use begin. We're going to have C equals 1, P equals 1. Okay, let's make C and P are integers. So we'll make another button on our form, put another button on the form. And that will be our Christmas tree button. So it's already out. Let's clear the rich edit. Then we're going to have C and P as integers, because that's what the flowchart says. C comma P, doesn't matter with me. Integers, okay. So we're going to set, we start off with C equal to 1, I think, yeah, and P colon equal to 1. I'm just going by the flowchart algorithm here now. Okay, we said C and P equal to 1. Now this looks like a loop. When you see there's a diamond, true and false, and it's going around in a circle. Can you see that? It's going around in a circle. Okay. So this C loop, C equals 1 to 10. It's going to go to 10. Right, so we're going to say C equals 1 to 10. For C equals 1 to 10. Do. And now we must have begin and end. Okay, why begin and end? Well, the loop always has begin and end. what are we doing here? We're saying tree equals tree plus x, display tree, and then we're adding 1. Now that c is c plus 1, c equals c plus 1, that is the for loop. C is going to go from 1, 2, 3, it's going to go until it reaches 10. Okay, so we're going to follow that algorithm. So let's go and get an empty star. I mean, we have to have an empty string called s stars. We're going to make it empty, and then we're going to add an x to it, but we're going to make s stars empty before the loop. Tree equals tree plus x, display tree. So let's try this and see if this is going to work. Plus x, and then we will already out dot lines dot add s stars. Well, that's just going to display from 1 to 10 stars. It's not going to look like a tree, is it? But we'll see how we can fix that one. And then after that loop, we're going to have a loop from 1 to 3 where we will display the stem. So after this loop happens, we'll have another loop for p equals 1, 2, 3 do, but we're going to make our stars equal to an empty string and do begin and end. And what are we going to do in this? Okay, they're saying stem equals x. Well, we're just going to display it x 3 times, that's all. And p will p plus 1 because that's part of the for loop, and then we'll have the end of that. So we're not going to do that. We'll just say already out dot lines dot add and a star, and that's just going to display 3 stars, one after the other. Is it 1 star only? Let's see. Oops, there we go. The tree has, yeah, so 1, 2, 3. Now the thing is, we're not going to get a tree structure looking like that. If you run it, you'll see. Okay, I don't have my S stars here. Colon string. So there's that one, and then there's this one. Now that's only like half a tree, isn't it? So we have to make it so that we can have a tree on the other side as well. Now that's going to be quite difficult. We have half a Christmas tree, and we'll do that in the next activity, which is a lot more difficult than what you're required to do right now at this point in time, because we're only starting to work with for loops. So later on, and if you want to try and figure that one out, how to get the actual shape of the tree like that, then you can try that yourself, and then it's a nice puzzle to work out. Okay, what we're going to do next is exercises on for loops, because you are only beginning, and we will see you next time.